Did you have some of the packet in yesterday? So you need to add that to your existing Unit 10 stuff. Attach a note with a staple and a note. And the staple and a note and a note. Also a note. With a staple. That says these are adding to my Unit 10 packet, and then put it in the green box. Yes. Entropy. Hello, student. Oh, I forgot to take attendance period 1. I'm the worst teacher. God, they pulled me busting for this. Nobody talk to me. Nobody talk to me. Nobody talk to me. Nobody talk to me. Nobody talk to me.
Randomly is wearing all blue. But it's gonna rain today. Why would we
Oh my god.
Okay, listen up, please. Today is a very casual, relaxed day, as long as we get started early enough.
Okay. Get started then.
Are there any Unit 10 makeups in the room? Other than Bodie, who I already talked to. Last call for Unit 10 makeups. Next, we got to do 10 things at once. So I'll explain all of them, and then you can start to do them. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen in like a 3-minute window. So please get ready. Let me explain, then we will break out to do it. Thing number 1, San Gary's going to stamp your 11.1, but don't get it out yet. Thing number 2, a bunch of volunteers will pass out period 2's papers, but don't get up yet. Thing number 3, if you have a Smarty Pants letter, you can leave it on my desk. Thing number 4, if you'd like to buy a disc for $1, you may do that now. Thing number 5, one group will test their solar house today. Who's certain they're absolutely ready? Your house is all sealed up and you know you're ready to go? Anybody else have a compelling reason to go ahead of them because they raised their hand first? Take your house with you. I don't want your stinking house.
Wait, is tomorrow the only other day we're doing it?
Nope. So who's ready today? You sure? Whoever that is, one of you, go get your house right now. All the other things happen at once. On your marks, get set, do it all at once. Go.
Okay.
Periods 1 through 8. We can go to the middle of the period when we have that problem.
Wait a second. He does. No, that packet. Yeah, he's way chubby. I'm getting a really good college with Dolly. Cool. Check my grade on EDU. Then Ryan.
Yeah. What'd you do for like the packet? You staple it all together?
What packet?
Like the pack of the packet?
Oh, yesterday you just showed me.
Oh, you just showed me. Got it.
Am I ready today? Oh, I doubt it.
No, well, keep going. One more small.
There it is. Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, I remember you going
This thick full of papers in the middle.
No, I tell you that. No, it's
I'm excited.
Nate.
Should we bring our husband?
Get ready for Nate.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to take it.
2 seconds.
Where are you supposed to do this?
No, I didn't. I was like, got to the point where like, oh, okay, this stuff is definitely all old. Took it out.
Oh no, my door is
Okay, wait. Rena.
Jose.
Okay, when you want to show you packet of bags. I know, but I wasn't here.
So, thank you for your patience. Best joke ever. Happy National Surprise Drug Test Day. My God, that is the world's biggest house.
Yep.
Kind of glad we're getting it out of the way first, though.
Yep.
So, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I promise you it's a pretty mellow day as long as we get an early start. the one thing that we have to do early is start testing the solar houses. Once we've done that, then we've got most of the middle of the period to catch up on paperwork from yesterday, and then to discuss your year-end project. Homework's been stamped. Anybody who wanted to drop off a financial request letter has done so. CDs have been purchased if you wanted to buy one. Everybody has the extra credit 2 paperwork, correct? So the most important thing that we have to start right away is the testing of the solar house models. Don't put that on there because you do winter first. Here comes the unfortunately challenging situation. Everybody has to see what I'm doing in a really small space of the classroom. I'm going to ask Sam Ruggieri to back out of there with his chair. Then, I'm going to ask everybody's desks to shift a little bit. We couldn't do that during period 1 because we didn't have a lot of kids, so it was easy for them. Watch me. Follow the people in front of you. I'm not supposed to do any heavy lifting, no offense. You scoot over about like... Yeah, right there. Everybody behind, don't move your desks yet. Some of you are moving them too far. Follow the person in the front. Everybody here, back a little bit. Perfect. This row sucks. This row's good. This row's good. You can loop your magnetism and drawing a couple of desks over. Bingo. Pretty bingo. Okay. Everyone, please come as close as you can. You might want a piece of paper to write down a few key facts. I'll wait 1 minute. Oh, okay. Yeah. We do it all the time. Yeah, we're taking photos of this. I think I do it all the time. As long as it comes from my students, she's already set up. If you want to discuss this in advance, that's fine, but it wouldn't be any difference. So I'd like everyone to see. You'll all be able to see. Those of you who stayed in your seats probably won't. If I were you, I would come and at least stand up. If this is your house, I'm going to talk you through everything. I'm not going to actually do anything myself. And I hope that everybody can see this paper that I've put on the wall that has your instructions. They're kind of brief. I'll have to make a few things very obvious. We're going to do winter first. Winter's on this side. Then we're going to do summer second. Summer's on this side. Step number 1, we will level the model. Please look up. More or less books underneath the light so that the books are the same height as the foundation. So, I'm going to look at their foundation, find a matching book. I'll bet you this one's pretty close. It is. Then I'm going to take this book and put it underneath the light and keep it lined up with the tape. Next, align your model so the tape line around the base of the light. Did you get hair color?
No.
For real? Are you tired? I don't believe you. And then tape line underneath the house at the front wall like it says right there. Somebody want to line up that house? Which side is the front of the house? Make sure that the front is pointing the right way. Key fact. Not the front of the foundation, but the front wall of the house. Hey. Everybody see what I did with the front wall of the house and the tape lined up? Okay, so we're on level. I'm going to check my measurements. That should be 12 inches from the front wall to the tape line. Front wall to the tape line is exactly 12 inches. We're going to seal the home because we're testing winter first. No trees. Everybody understands? Testing winter first. Seal the house. You want your windows closed up in winter. Everybody good with all that? Is your house as sealed as it gets? Next, my favorite part. Step number 5 is, yes, insert the probe. We want to aim for the center of the volume of the house, targeting the center of that airspace with the tip. You can punch a hole in a wall, you can punch a hole in a window, but you don't want to put it in front of the light bulb. You need a windows? Windows? Do you need help?
Yes.
Where are you?
Look right over here. Or
What are your walls made of?
not. Just like
Paperboard? Nothing else? Okay. Now, watch the girls use my instructions for using the calculator. Meanwhile, one of you wants to set a timer for 10 minutes. Ready, set, use the instructions for the calculator. Who's on the calculator? Bingo. Number 1, wrong calculator, cool. Number 1, press the on button. Number 2, press the apps button. Number 3, scroll down to Datamate. Number 4, press enter. Number 5, after the application has loaded. Number 6, press 2 to start. Turn on the winter light for 10 minutes.
and start the timer.
Yep. So she started, she turned on the light, she started the timer. Everybody see that? Now we just chill. Here's the magic. Her calculator is recording temperatures every 30 seconds. It'll start to make little data points, and when it's done, it will scale them and give you a graph. So let's get ahead of ourselves so that we can just leave one of them in charge. I will continue with the instructions as if time had passed. After those 10 minutes, turn off the light for 5 minutes of darkness. So when your timer goes off, somebody turns off the light. Everybody understand that? We record temperature for 10 of light and 5 of dark. Questions? Number 7, to read the data, wait for the beep from the calculator and a graph on the screen will show up. Then you use the right arrow to trace the graph line, and you'll fill in your data table like this in seconds and temperature. I'll show you that in about 10 minutes. The calculator will make a graph of the temperature, and you'll use the right arrow to follow the cursor along that graph And it'll be 0 seconds temperature, 30 seconds temperature, 60 seconds temperature, 90 seconds temperature. Everybody know what I'm saying about this? Yes? Questions so far? Now, that step about recording the data, you're just holding the calculator. So while one of the fools is writing down the temperatures on the data table they've already started, the rest of the fools can prep the house for summer, punch out the windows, set up the shade trees, level it, put their evaporative roof on top, and repeat the test for summer using the other calculator. We got a winter calculator and a summer one. It takes a long time to record all the data from the winter test, so in the meantime, everybody can do the summer test. The other side of the group, the rest of the group. You saw it's about 10 minutes to get the party started. We're almost at the middle of class. There's like 12 minutes left on this, plus 15, plus the transitions, plus the recording. So we're lucky to get one house per period. If you're on it, so at the very beginning of the period, your house is all sealed up and you're ready to launch the winter, you can finish before the end of the period. But if everybody has to fight and negotiate who's going to go first, and then you can't remember how to get the thing together, and then you have problems with the calculator, you might need to stay late. So it's not a good idea to do this on a day when all three of you have an exam in period 3 or whatever. Is that the case today? Wait, do you have an exam in period 3 today?
Yeah, but we can do it. Yeah.
There's also nutrition breaks.
Okay. I'd like to remind everybody, all the instructions are written here. The parts that are not written there are the things you'll need to think about. First, who's going to go on which day and make sure that the house is all sealed up? Second of all, there's a little bit of water here for getting your rags wet, but not a ton. Third of all, you got to plan ahead. Have your data tables all ready to go, 0 to 900 in increments of 30. 900 seconds is 15 minutes. So have your 0 to 900 data table already set up so that you can come in and just record the temperatures very quickly. Also, plan ahead. What are you going to have to do to your house? Chances are, if you left it in the greenhouse for the last month, it's probably not exactly how you saw it last. Maybe some rats partied in it. Maybe the paper has absorbed moisture and with the temperature changes has like warped and stuff. You probably want to kick down like one of those little silicone squeezer things if you have one. Bring it here so you can share with other people. And try to reseal your house on the day before you plan to test it. And make sure that everybody's got a clear plan. Like, yeah, we're going to knock out all these windows. Don't forget we got to close the door for the solar gain room, whatever. Are there any questions at this point? No questions at all? Then kids, one of you or both of you or whatever can sit around with your house while the rest of everybody goes back to the Senator Gary.
Yeah.
Toolbox in the red shed.
Toolbox, rich.
Small irrigation, so quarter inch, like a
Yeah.
fine irrigation box, either in greenhouse or in the red shed. And if it is in the greenhouse, take it to the red shed. Inside the chicken yard with all of the chickens, check for egg layers.
Yeah. How do chickens make eggs so fast?
They've been bred for that. They wouldn't have done that if we hadn't selectively bred them so aggressively. Wasn't Ryan Hughes here today?
No.
And Marlon Douglas is also absent today?
Poor chicken.
Katie, Yara. What chicks?
Like, how do you, like, after 5 minutes of dark and then you did wait for the beep, how does it know when to beep? Like, do you have to say
I'd like everybody to hear this question. Listen carefully, please. Homegirl says, after 5 minutes and wait for beep, how does it know when to beep? Because your calculator has been programmed to do a few things. When you press start at the beginning of the timing, that calculator will reliably take a temperature recording every 30 seconds until 900 seconds, which equals 15 minutes, and then it will terminate the program. It takes about a second, and then it'll give you a map, a graph of your data. That's all automatic. So when you hear the calculator go beep beep, you just gotta like wait a second and you'll see the graph. So one person can go and start recording the data from the graph while the rest are setting up the house for something. You may want to pre-level the light while you're waiting, try to find a book that matches. So look at me being helpful. Does anybody have any questions about what the girls are doing with their houses before I get another party started? Did everybody already get a chance to purchase their CDs and give me their note if mom and dad can't afford the Smarty Pants guide? So next, does anybody have leftover paperwork? Something yesterday wasn't completed for whatever reason. Let's do that. Caesar, I see that you gave me, do you have all 10 units?
I turned in 10 minutes.
Too bad. You have everything in there? Are you writing it? Luke, I just need work your ways. Can I roll it?
Do you want me to put on unit 10 then? Like right in the bottom.
So you make them look like birds.
5 minutes? Yeah.
Is there anything left over from previous days? Well then, let's get to some real nitty-gritty. I can't stress enough how important this following conversation is for every student in the room. Listen carefully. This is the one thing all year that matters to everyone. We're about a week and a half away from the AP test, and after the AP test, we start the year-end Your World project. This year-end Your World project is worth 50% of your semester grade. 1/2. So here's how that works. Whatever you've done from now until the final will be 100% of your grade until you get to the project. Then when you get to the project, we kind of go back to 0. Because you've got a 50-50 split remaining. It's a class-wide project. The entire class works on one thing. And I'll explain the grading later. You get part of your grade from the whole class, another part of your grade from the whole class, another part of your grade from your small committee, and a final part of your grade from just your personal role. Usually, if the committees are really tight and everybody's doing their job, the committee grade is good. And usually, the class-wide grades tend to have an average spectrum. High A's are really low, really rare. Low B's are relatively rare. Usually, the class-wide grades from me and from the judges, the way that the rubric is made, those are pretty consistently in the upper B, lower A range. So the part where you decide the outcome of your semester grade is on how involved you personally are in the project. People who opt out, who are like, this is stupid, I'm not into it, or I've got 5 weeks of stacking bowls every day, don't bother me, or who I can't get along with that Bodie guy, so I'm just going to quit coming to class. If you check out of the project, your semester grade almost certainly goes down. And if you're like honestly invested, even if the class doesn't do that good, people will be like, well, you know, we kind of blew it, but Maria was really trying, and she was really polite, and she always answered her phone, and she tried to come to school that one time, and she brought that one thing. As long as you individually have done your very best, usually your grade goes up. Just so you know, this project is, in my opinion, like one of the best things I've ever done in education. I stole the idea from somebody else, and I've been dialing the grade so that honestly, you got to work your ass off through the final, and then if you are personally doing your very best, it's almost impossible for your grade to go down. Over the years, I'll get like a couple of disappointed students every year, like a couple, who like, oh, I had a 90.01, and then I just didn't get along with my committee chair, and she hates me because I stole her boyfriend, and so now I got an 89.8. And just so you know, it's possible that'll happen, but basically, if you're just working your absolute hardest, it shouldn't be a problem. I'll give you a few fun facts about your project. Did you turn your house around? A few fun facts about your project. Fun fact number 1, you are going to work as a class on some local project that you will implement that relates to some global issue. In previous years, I've had kids work on localizing the food system. That's a classic. There's a lot of ways to do that. I've had students work on pollution issues. I've had a lot of kids working on drought issues. I've had a variety of other projects that I can describe to you later. All these binders are those projects. All the projects are up to you to design, and whichever student proposes the project your class votes on, that person gets a significant extra credit bonus on the project. It actually adds up to about a 5% bonus on the project, which is like a pretty significant grade bump. So I'd like everybody to think hard. What do you think our class should work on? And really propose something. By the way, you don't have to have the whole project figured out. If Betters says, you know, I just really feel like we should do something about the invasive blah, blah, blah. And then when other people start talking about the project, she's like, yeah, we could do the... As long as you are the person who's identified with getting the ball rolling on your project, even if you don't have it all sorted out, you still get that extra credit for starting your project. Everybody got that? We don't have to start anything for about 2 more weeks. So we'll have some time to start thinking, and we'll have some days next week and then in the future to discuss options for your project. Girls, everything working okay over there?
Yeah.
Cool. Here's a few things you should also know about your class-wide project at the end of the year. Oh, and by the way, have you already started tracing the graph?
Yeah.
Can I show the students in the audience? Check it out. Data table getting filled out. That's weird.
What?
And the graph. The greenhouse is probably hotter than our classroom. But then you notice the temperature kind of picked up later. That's probably the temperature gain from the light toward the end. And then it dropped off. So after the temperature adjusted from the hotter greenhouse to the cooler classroom, it seems like things kind of did what they were supposed to do a little bit. Everybody see that graph? Can you tell? Does everybody see that from their desk? Not really? You use the right and left arrows to trace a cursor along the graph to get the data out.
You done, mate?
Okay, more stuff about your project. You will elect
That's my question.
one class president who becomes the only person who can talk to me. And you'll elect 4 directors for each of the 4 committees: marketing, outreach, research, and production. I will help you democratically assign yourselves to committees. Some students have very strong preference, some not so much. Sometimes we have to push people around, but we'll balance the 4 committees. And basically, I'll give you like a 10-page packet of instructions, and I check out completely, and you're not allowed to talk to me. The last 5 weeks of the project, you're basically on your own. I will monitor your progress through weekly reports that you give to the president, and the president discusses with me personally. I'll set up meetings with the class president and individuals, like your media outreach person, because you have to do press releases, like your financial person, because you have to do your own fundraising and managing your funds, like your marketing committee, because you'll have to strategize the size and scope of your project. I'll speak to your outreach committee, because you have to teach classes at local elementary schools about your topic. I'll talk to your marketing and research people, because you write a big research paper, and also you do like a science fair project about your stuff. I'll talk to your web designers, because you have to build your own website. It's a pretty ambitious project. And at the very end, right before the end of the school year, I think on our last Monday of school, we will take over the theater for about 3 or 4 periods, and we will invite a panel of about 100 to 200 judges. And your board of directors will get dressed up, and they'll give an interactive presentation about your project. And the judges will tell you how you scored on a rubric that you'll see soon. Your project has to have a few elements. Some sort of outreach effort on campus with people of your age group. Some sort of outreach effort to youngsters in elementary schools. And some sort of public community outreach effort, Santa Barbara at large. I give you a bunch of requirements for the project, a whole packet that's got bullets and lists and assignments and rubrics, and you'll know exactly what to expect. And as long as you do your best to meet the requirements of the project, you've got a lot of wiggle room. It's basically your planet. You can do whatever you think you can do with it. Good luck. And it's my pleasure to help you pull that off, but basically at the end of the year, it's your world, I don't care. The project is called Your World. So now, what are your questions about the year-end project? Yeah.
Do the board of directors get extra credit for being like?
They might, if they're good at it.
If they do a good job.
Yeah, so at the end of the project, you can propose students who basically went above and beyond what they were supposed to do. Everybody's supposed to work hard. So everybody's like, well, Maria made the photocopies. And like, yeah, but if that was her job, that's her job. But if somebody like does like a Hail Mary lifesaver, like, holy crap, Maria got hit by a car, and Betters like went over and stepped over Maria's dead body to get those papers and get them photocopied at the last minute, then like, wow, okay, that's a little extra. So some kids get extra. The president usually gets a 5% bonus. The directors usually get a 2.5% bonus. The person who launches the winning idea, they get a 5% bonus. And sometimes other students can get 1, 2, 3% bonus depending on how critical they were. Next question. Yeah?
When are elections?
Probably right after or right before the AP test. It's after you've kind of chosen your topic. So first we pick a topic, then we pick the right president. Sometimes, depending on the topic, like she might be the right person for this job, but she might be the right person if we do the other projects. We've got to pick the project first, then the elections. Usually the first day that everybody's in the room after the AP test. Yeah?
So when we break up into like committees, does the president not have a committee? Are they just...
That's right. The funny thing about the president is their job is to not do anything, just make sure that everybody else is doing their job. That actually sounds really easy, and it's also really difficult. This year, I'm hoping to have executives from previous project committees come talk to you before the elections, so they can just give you some feedback. Daisy,
Yeah.
were you in a committee? Were you a chair of a committee last year?
No.
Ruggieri, were you?
No.
Do either of you have any feedback for these kids about the chairmanship or the presidency?
I was not listening.
Pick the best person for the job. So research should have like the smartest person in the class, and president should be the most enthusiastic person in the class. That's all I know.
Okay. Daisy, any other ideas?
No, that sounds about right. Like, just make sure the person you're choosing is like actually do a good job.
I have to say, I've seen a lot of times, like, the pretty girl or the popular jock bro get elected. And that's like,
Terrible.
if you have the wrong president, you're so F. Like, it is so obvious when the president's not working out. Man, we had one project a couple of years ago where everybody just thought, like, obvious choice, this person has 107% in the class, always sits in the front, is really polite, has never been absent, and that person just didn't have like the delegation and communication skills. So she would just be like, get it done, I don't care, just do it, I don't know, just do it. And like seriously, the project just spiraled and everybody hated her, and in the end they gave her a horrible grade, and like, you want to really pick people who are able. So I'm going to give everybody a packet and you can see what the jobs are, and you can think very carefully about who's the right person for each of the jobs. Yeah?
If like one of the people that's working out in the board committees or if the president is working out, could you like elect a new person? Yeah, you could do it like impeach them.
We have no impeachment process.
But
Impeachment is an embarrassment of democracy.
but
So no, the answer is just no. There's no but.
oh
Yeah.
So, as a class, we choose like a topic, and then each committee is a different aspect of it. Not like we're all doing the same project. We just different parts.
I want to answer Raina's question really clearly for everybody. As one whole class, you will choose the theme and outline of your project. For example, I'm really worried about the drought. We should do some sort of public outreach where we help people save water and help them do X, Y, and Z. Then, each of the committees is responsible for a set of the assignments. Let me be very clear. One committee is in charge of the website and the scrapbook. One committee is in charge of the outreach to the classrooms and the flyers on campus. One committee is in charge of the information management and research. And then the marketing committee makes a decision about the scope of all those parts to make sure that you're balancing everybody's efforts and making the biggest possible project. Marketing committee is the strategic brain, so they ultimately are empowered to decide what's going to be in the classes, how many houses you're going to drop a flyer in. The marketing committee is kind of sketchy, like that they have to be like super ambitious and push everybody. Because the problem is, at the end of this project, when the judges show up, my intro says, these are the smartest kids at Santa Barbara High School. They've had 5 weeks. If you do the math, that's 40 hours times 30 students is 1,200 hours of class time. And your grown-ups know what they can accomplish with 1,200 hours of labor. And then the presentation comes up and goes, we made flyers and we stuck them on a bus. Thank you. And everybody's like, yeah, that's 1,200 hours of the smartest kids on campus. Like, I gotta warn you, the scope of your project is a lot greater than, like, it's really hard to impress grown-ups. Yeah.
So, you said there's no deals with money, so people do get, we do fundraisers and get money for the project?
Technically, having a formal fundraiser approved by the school district in that time frame is basically impossible. I already have a generic fundraiser, which is like bake sales and something else I can't remember, like one coverall. So as long as you fall into this category, you're approved by the district. But separately, over the years, I'll just tell everybody right now, the single most valuable fundraiser I've seen is if all the kids go, hey, Mom and Dad, I know you give a lot of money to the school, but we're doing this one separate thing. And literally, you just ask your folks to kick down, like, either something really focused, like Better's Family, instead of donating money, maybe they can do, like, the printing of the shirts or something. Like, but just try to get everybody's parents, find a way that they can kick down, like, something. And that's between you and your folks, and I know that everybody's strapped for money, but like, yo, we just need somebody to help us with the delivery. Dad, can you drive your big truck or whatever? I don't know. Yeah.
So if you were to do marketing, like a flyer, and possibly we'll do that with like PR, what would you say on it? Like, would you say it comes with a meeting or something, or
These are details that we can probably sort out later because it kind of depends on your project. What else?
you have like co-chairs of committees?
You cannot. There's only single management positions for all tasks. Single jobs only, and that's mandatory. However, if there's somebody really helpful, it's up to you how you organize your committee. So if you've got like a right-hand woman who's been really helpful, that's between you and them, and then you can remember that she was really helpful and she was your stand-in. You have to have an alternate for the days that you're absent. Yeah.
For the judges, they're all adults, no like kids or like high school students?
Actually, no. Former students who come back after college, last year's executives are all invited to be judges. Your own parents, as many as you can recruit, it's helpful if you get your own judges because they're more likely to favor your work. They're going to be more impressed because they know more about your project or they feel bad about your faith problem or whatever. And then I bring in people from the community that I know, local nonprofits, and then I invite all the other teachers to come and bring their classes, so we kind of fill the theater with random students that got nothing to do that day.
So we should try and appeal to that kind of demographic for our presentation.
I'll give you some guidelines later about how to impress the judges. For one thing, it's a requirement that your project be multicultural. So you can't just do something for brown kids or just do something for white kids. It's got to be sort of like a broad scope. Usually we ask that all of your documents be bilingual. And so you'll have to appeal to all of the judges.
Okay.
What else? I'd like everybody to ask questions. I want to be available for this.
Should we do some research beforehand about what topic we want for our project?
You should absolutely start researching ideas for your project. Absolutely. Basically, you're looking for some global problem that you can act on locally. You know, we've got every problem. Water issues, food availability issues. What can you actually work on? I'll warn you right now, in the time spectrum you're talking about, don't do anything that includes working with the city or the school district. Like you won't be able to get a meeting with the mayor to have anything come out of that. The time frame for changing the world's a lot longer than you think. You got to think of something that you can actually just go out and get at and start doing. Like as a group of people. Don't getting other people to blank is a horrible idea. You will not get other people to blank anything. It's got to be something that you actively do yourselves. What else? I got a couple minutes left. You could go look at the girls' data. You could watch them destroy their house.
Wait, can we throw it away?
As long as you don't leave it in my space, I don't care what you do with it. You may want to take it home, throw it at your neighbors, stick it on your refrigerator.
Yes. That is a great idea. So are we doing all the elections at the same time? Okay. We're doing all the elections at the same time?
Yeah.
So they usually do like outreach. We should like actually go into like kids' classrooms and stuff and talk to them about it.
You will go to kids' classrooms and talk to them, yeah. You're going to set up a committee of students that goes out to the class presentation.
So with that, you said that would also be like elementary